Hello, professionals, and welcome back to the Steltel Show. Remember, our goal is to break down money, mindsets, and modern life without the S&P 500, Nasdaq, Dow and Jones, NGX 50, and all of those boring things that you hear. And today's episode, before we go to today's episode, let me gist you. So somebody reached out to me after seeing, I think, the last two episodes that talked about not increasing your spend immediately you have like a pay rise or an increment in salary. And guess what? We had the conversation, and my girl I'm proud of her. So if you have not engaged this post, if you're not asking questions, I think you're wrong. So right now, go to Instagram, go to YouTube. You would see the task for each of the week, and you will see how to apply all the things I teach to yourself. Today, we are going to be talking about the financial market and its operators. What is a market? That's very basic, right? That is where buying and selling takes place. When was the last time you went to a market? A physical market? Do you remember? Because these days, everything happens online. And that is why we have sales on box to help you manage all that you do. E-commerce, delivery, and all of those things. So, financial markets is just like all of those markets that you know about: Balogun Market, Eco Market, Arena, Baggy, and all the common market. And what do we sell? Money, right? In all of those conventional markets, what we sell or buy either commodities, clothes, shoes, bags, depending on what you're looking for. Today, we are not talking about any of those things. We are talking about money. And financial market is actually divided into two parts. We have the money market and the capital market. I know somebody is starting to get confused, like, Shemi, you just say you are selling money. How come there's one market that is money market and another one that is not capital market? What's going on here? The money market is that market where short-term instruments are being traded. Before you start getting confused, take a look at Computer Village, for instance. Computer Village has a segment where you can buy your earpiece, your screen protector, your mini USB and fan. They are seen as consumables, right? They are seen as short-term items that you can buy. But in that same Computer Village, so we are seeing Computer Village as our financial market now, right? In that same Computer Village, you can buy your PS5, you can buy your laptop, like full gadgets. On the one side, where we have the money market in Computer Village, is that market segment where short-term instruments are traded. So what are instruments now? Instruments in this case are the items being traded, right? So if you buy your screen protector now, it's an instrument to your phone. If you buy a pouch for your phone, it's an instrument to your phone. If you buy an earpiece, it's an instrument to you. Do you understand? So who are the key players in this money market? In the money markets, we have people like the government, we have people like the CBN, we have the commercial banks. What do? Commercial banks are the likes of your GTCO, Zenith Bank, Fidelity Bank, and the likes. We have also the smaller banks, the fintechs, and all of that being regulated under the Central Bank of Nigeria. What are the instruments that these people use to trade in the money market? Remember, it's a trade between a buyer and a seller. Am I correct? So if it's a trade between a buyer and the seller, who is the buyer in this case? It can go both ways. The buyer can be you as an investor, while the seller is the government, for instance, or the CBN, depending on the instrument that is being issued. So let us assume that government needs money. They need 1 trillion and they want to raise it within the market. What do? They sit down, they make strategic moves, and they come up with an instrument that they present to the public for the public to invest in. The common tool that government will typically use is to issue a Treasury bill, for instance. A Treasury bill will last, typically we have 90 days to 70 days, 180 days, 270 days, and 364 days, depending on the tenor as agreed, right? So you as an individual, you can approach an investment banker or your application on your phone and look at it. Oh, government has issued Treasury bill. It's at 18%. It's not doing bad. Let me put my money into it. You just bought that instrument, which is Treasury bill, from the money market. What you did is that you just gave government money. That 1 trillion they're looking for, you just contributed to the big pot through Treasury bill. Do you understand? There is also what they call the open market operation. Open market operation is more like an instrument used by the Central Bank of Nigeria to control the movement of money. It's called velocity of money, but because I'm not here to bore you with jargons, you remember, let's just call it how money changes hands between myself and the Central Bank of Nigeria. When the Central Bank of Nigeria looks at it, that see, there's too much money within the circulation, there's too much money in the economy, they just take an instrument, in this case, the open market operation. It's called OMO, but if I call it OMO, the only thing that might come to your mind is OMO is that instrument that the CBN uses to control money circulation within an economy. So if they issue OMO, the rates are usually very high. People subscribe to it, mostly commercial banks, sometimes investment banks, and individuals or corporate organizations. They subscribe to those open market operation instruments, and boom, money reduces within the economy. Governments can issue other instruments. We also have the certificate of deposit. Certificate of deposit is known to you. It's what they typically will call the fixed deposit that everybody does. It's just like your typical savings account where you ask your commercial bank that, please, I want to do fixed deposit. They will take the money from your account and help you save it in their own coffers. They trade with it and give you a return on your money. The idea is your money is not sitting down idle within the period where you're not using it, but you're also earning something on it. That's certificate of deposit. So that's the money market. Remember, money market is a market that short-term financial instruments are traded. Computer village segment where you buy short-term consumable items. Do you get? Players in the market are CBN, the government, and the banks. Commercial banks, merchant banks, investment banks, and all of those people. So let's go to the capital market. That's the other segment of computer village where the big guys trade. So it's the market where instruments that are traded in this market are longer. And when I say longer, meaning that their tenor is above 1 year. Typically 3-5 years instruments are being traded on this capital market. I'm sure you've heard words like IPOs, POs. IPO is initial public offer. PO is public offer. That means the company has come to the market before. So let's take, for instance, you went to Computer Village to buy a laptop. Before you get that laptop, that means a person has offered that laptop for sale, right? What the capital market does is that it allows for companies, government to raise money to help their businesses or to generate infrastructure for the economy. It's getting boring, I get. So, government needs money. You're setting up your business and you need money. Am I correct? You need capital. It's called capital, but let's just call it money. And you have sourced money from all your family and friends. They've given you what they have. They have 500 million naira. But then, you're trying to construct a very big bridge, right? You then looked at it that, oh, if I really want to be successful at this thing I am doing, I need more money. So you go to the capital markets. You approach the operators in that market. I'll still get to the operators. You approach the operators in that market to say, see, my business needs money. I want to raise capital. There are different channels through which a company can raise capital. The commonest of them all is the initial public offer. So if this is the first time you're approaching the capital market, see, I need to raise capital, I need money. Let me sell an instrument to the market. Remember we talked about instruments when we're talking about the money market. So you're offering an instrument, usually in the form of a certificate, to anybody that buys that instrument. So let's go back to our computer village illustration. Your vendor that sells a laptop sees that laptop as an instrument and he brought it to the market to come and sell to you. He doesn't know if you're coming, but he still brings his goods to the market regardless. So when he gets to the market, he looks at how much this person is selling, how much this person is selling, how much am I going to sell? So that laptop's price is influenced by all the activities going on within the market. And that is why you would hear people say, oh, prices are determined by the law of demand and supply and all of those things. So a price is set for that instrument your vendor has come to sell in the market. That instrument is usually called stocks. Does it ring a bell? I invested in stocks. I invested in stocks. I invested in stocks. That is what a stock is. Is that laptop that you are trying to buy. So now, if at the point where you're buying, you're offering that stocks, you then invite the public, that's every other person apart from yourself, to come and buy into that stock you're selling. What does that even mean? You know, if you go to the market, what do you exchange for that laptop you are going to buy? You give cash, right? Or transfer, or POS, and all of those things. So that way you would pay for what you're trying to buy. What happens to the business? My business receives money and you have the certificate. Good news is the price of my instrument can go. So you are able to make a profit by buying into my stocks. Do you see? And that is why buying stocks can be seen to be profitable. Do you understand what the capital market is about? Other instruments that you can get in the capital market include bonds. Bonds are usually issued on a longer term. It's more like, instead of me telling you that, oh, when you buy this my laptop, you become part of my business, which is what happens in the case of stocks or shares. You become a part owner of my business because you have paid money to me and you become my shareholder, right? Because you are holding my shares in your hands in form of a certificate, whether dematerialized or not. The other one, which I called bond now, So look at bond as you going to lease PS4 or PS5 from Computer Village, right? Now you are the buyer, right? You go into Computer Village and you say, please lease me this PS4. You are borrowing it, but you give money in return, right? Bonds are more of borrowings because both the principal and an interest will be returned to you if you buy a bond. Do you understand? And the rates, interest rate is calculated annually, but then it goes for whatever tenor the bond is being issued for. Government raise bonds, corporate entities raise bonds, and we, the public, invest in this instrument. Do you understand? The difference between stocks, shares, and bonds is that stocks and shares they give you part ownership of the business, but bonds do not give you ownership of the business. Bonds is just like you borrowing the business monies, and the business will pay you back at the end of a certain period. Do you understand? So on the capital market, longer term instruments are sold, and you can hold your stock for years, like for as long as the company exists. It is only when the company decides to stop being in the market that you might have to, you'll be paid off to remove your association from the company, so you get detached from the company. But for as long as a company exists, you can be a shareholder as long as you don't sell your shares to another person. So on that capital market, there are two markets. Hey, hope you are not getting confused. I'll do a summary when I finish. On that capital market, there are two markets again. So you remember that we started with the financial market, that I broke into two markets: the money market and the capital market. The capital market is broken into two other markets: the primary market and the secondary market. Primary market is that market where that company that is coming newly into the market to sell its stocks and bonds can trade. That is only where anybody can buy. So you can buy from the primary market when the company is coming into the market for the first time. The secondary market is the market where you can continuously now do trades on your shares. So you bought 10 units of Access Bank shares, for instance, because Access Bank has been in the market, that's in the capital market, for some time. You can sell 5 units out of your 10 units. You can sell your entire 10 units and buy another bank's shares. Do you get? So that is how the trades go on in the secondary market. Let's quickly talk about the operators in this capital market. Let's say, for instance, that in your Computer Village market, which is our financial market, there are people that helps to ensure that everything is running smoothly. Those are our yalojas that help to hold the markets. Market association, market women association. Let's take them as the regulators in the market. Computer Village Market People Association would call them the regulators, because of course, if they're not there, things will go wrong. Anybody will just call price for you. You don't have a choice, you buy it like that. People would collect money from you, they will not give you market. Do you understand? So there is a need for people to regulate that market. And those regulators are called Securities and Exchange Commission, NGX, Nigerian Exchange Group. So we have SEC, that's the Securities and Exchange Commission. Those are the oga patapata. My oga at the top. You know those ones? They are the bosses that keeps it running. So what they do is that they issue licenses to every other operator within the capital market. So, you know, those are our Iyaloja association now. If you come to the market newly and you say you want to come and sell in that market, where are you going to when you've not paid your dues? Do you understand? That's how they act. Like they are the guiding angels for the Nigerian capital market. So they issue licenses. So you cannot just wake up and say you want to become a market operator. Where's your license? You can't be there. So Computer Village people will chase you out. Do you understand? Would break these operators down in our next video so that you can understand how each of them comes to play in your financial journey. At this point, I would like to tell you why you should care about all those stories I've been telling you. You know that if you want to play in a space, you have to be knowledgeable about that space. And I see plenty people play in this financial market without necessarily having the deep understanding of how the joints and bones and marrows, you know, the same way we don't typically understand how our body functions until maybe you have to go to an hospital and understand, or you did biology in secondary school that you no longer remember now. Yes, it's the same way. But for you to be able to successfully thrive, you need to understand these things that I am saying. I'll continue on this series because, of course, it's a series. We've not gotten to the gold mine yet, because the gold mine is where I am going to. That one you never knew existed, which is why I have to take you on this journey through this series. I hope you have learned a thing or two. As a concerned Nigerian that needs you to grow your wealth, I am trying to encourage you to stick with this series to the end so that you're able to play successfully like a boss. You know, on the Stealth Wealth Show, our goal, again, is to break down money, mindset, and every other thing in between, especially modern day life. So, till I see you again next time, I love you to subscribe, like, and share to be sure that we are acting like the bosses that we are. Until I see you next time again, take good care. Bye.